Hi, my friends. Today, I want to present to you a new story. Enjoy watching it. I should have known the moment I saw Jennifer smile. She perched at the polished mahogany table like a queen waiting for her crown, while I stood near the doorway, invisible as ever. The lawyer cleared his throat, his leather folder snapping open like a trap. To Jennifer Whitman, he began, his voice too smooth. We bequeath $14 million in cash assets and the family beach house. Jennifer's lips curled as she took the check, the paper barely crinkled in her manicured hands. My mother rested her palm on Jennifer's wrist, pride shining in her eyes. My father didn't even look at me. Then came the part I'd replay in my head for years. And to Nancy, your parents would like you to earn your own. Silence, heavy humming. I felt everyone's eyes on me but refused to let them see me crack. I pressed my fingers to the edge of the table, grounding myself in its cold perfection. That's it? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. My mother sighed like I was an inconvenience. Don't be dramatic, Nancy. You're clever. You'll manage. Jennifer leaned forward, her diamond bracelet winking in the overhead light. Try not to waste this opportunity, she purred. Independence builds character. Rage pulsed in my temples. But before I could speak, the lawyer shifted uncomfortably. He pulled out a worn envelope, its paper was yellowed at the edges. My heart jolted at the handwriting, my grandfather's broad strokes. There's one final document, the lawyer said, eyes darting to my father, who stiffened so fast his chair creaked. My mother's smile vanished. Even Jennifer's painted calm cracked. The lawyer held the envelope like it might bite him. Your grandfather left specific instructions for this to be read only if certain things came to light. I felt something in the room shatter, not a sound, but a fracture in their perfect, suffocating lie. Jennifer's eyes narrowed, flicking between the envelope and me. What is that? She demanded, her voice razor thin. Justice, I whispered, but only to myself. I opened the letter and read it silently. Nancy, if you are reading this message, it means something has gone wrong. Go to Grandma's ranch. The whole truth will be revealed there. I barely slept after the reading. The envelope with Grandpa's words felt like a spark in my pocket, burning hotter every hour. By dawn, I was driving through winding back roads toward the ranch where he taught me how to fix broken fences and ask bigger questions. Grandma opened the door before I knocked. Her eyes were rimmed red, her thin frame dwarfed by the massive oak door. She didn't hug me, she just stepped back, letting the truth pass between us like a ghost. Inside, the house smelled like old cedar and betrayal. She set the letter down on the kitchen table. I watched her fingers trace Grandpa's handwriting, the same fingers that used to braid my hair. I thought you didn't come to the funeral, she said quietly. I came, Grandma. My parents told me that the funeral would be at noon, whereas they held it in the morning. I sat in an empty church until the janitor locked the doors. She flinched, her knuckles whitening. They lied to me, saying that you didn't want to come because you went to a celebration at your friend's house, she whispered. Her eyes met mine, sharp again. Now they won't lie anymore. She stood up so fast her chair scraped the old floorboards. I heard the fierce woman Grandpa fell in love with in her next words. They fraudulently forged the will just before his death. We're calling them here, every last one. They think they buried the truth with him. They're about to watch it rise from the grave. The next day, the family gathered like crows around a fresh kill. Jennifer arrived last, sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. She glanced at me, lips curling. So, this is your big show? A dusty ranch in Grandma's temper? I didn't answer. I stared at the dark smudge on her designer sleeve, the slight crack in her polished facade. When the lawyer laid Grandpa's real will on the table, the air turned heavy. My father cleared his throat but said nothing. My mother's nails tapped the glass of iced tea like a ticking bomb. Grandma folded her hands, her voice edged. He also left you an inheritance, Nancy. He wanted the truth spoken here, with the liars watching. I could feel my heart pounding through the oak table as Mr. Holden, Grandpa's old lawyer, unfolded the letter. The edges were brittle, the ink faded, but his words cut through years of silence like a blade. To my granddaughter, Nancy Holden Reed, his voice was calm even as the room shrank around us. I know you were kept from me. I know the lies they fed you. I see you now, and I want the world to see you, too. Jennifer's foot tapped under the table, an old towel. She was coiled so tight I thought she'd shatter before the letter did. I stared at her, she wouldn't look back. You were always the one who asked why, Halden continued. The one they called difficult, ungrateful. But I saw the spark they tried to drown. The research annex, the patents, the land, and half the estate, all yours, Nancy. Jennifer's chair screeched back. He was senile when he wrote that, she barked. He didn't know what he was doing. I felt heat surge through me. He knew exactly what he was doing, I shot back. You fed him lies and blocked my calls. You let him die thinking I didn't care. My father slammed his palm on the table. This is family business. Grandma's voice cracked like a whip. This is truth. Sit down. Jennifer leaned in, her whisper poisoning my ear. You'll choke on this. You know you're too soft for revenge. I met her eyes and saw it, the flicker of fear she'd buried under years of fake smiles. I smiled back, my voice low. Let's find out. The storm had broken, and I was done standing outside in the rain. Jennifer's lip trembled. For a second, I almost saw my sister, not the polished puppet they'd made her, but then her mask slammed back on. You think you deserve this? You always wanted pity, the victim, the forgotten one. I leaned in, my voice low, unshakable. No, I wanted a family. You wanted a throne. Halden held up another page. Grandpa's final line, Nancy, you were never invisible to me. Let them see you now. Silence so loud it made my ears ring. Jennifer's eyes glistened, not tears, but rage. She lunged, her palm slamming the letter from Halden's hand. Pages scattered like brittle leaves. I wanted that. I earned it, I said. She screamed, you're nothing. I stood my ground. Then why are you so afraid? For the first time, the room shifted, their whispers falling away. This wasn't just paper and ink, it was the wrecking ball they never saw coming. The day after the letter ripped the last mask from my family, I stood at the gates of the research annex my grandfather left me, the place they never wanted me to have. The iron sign still read Whitman Innovation Annex, but to me, it felt like a door to everything I'd been told I didn't deserve. I pushed the heavy door open. Inside, sunlight streamed through dusty windows, falling across workbenches lined with microscopes, journals, old soil samples, pieces of my grandfather's unfinished dreams. My boots echoed on the concrete floor. It didn't feel like home yet, but it felt possible. Grandma's footsteps followed. She was quieter now, but stronger, like she traded guilt for steel overnight. He built this for you long before he died, she said softly, tracing a dusty lab shelf. I opened a drawer. Inside, my childhood notebook lay there, my messy handwriting still pressed into the pages. The things they don't understand, one day they will. I felt the sting behind my eyes, not grief this time, not anger, something like relief. I turned to Grandma. Do you think they'll come back? She snorted, that old fire back in her eyes. They always do, but this time, they won't find you waiting with your head bowed. Just then, the metal door slammed. Jennifer's voice sliced through the warm light. You think you can shut me out? Her heels clicked on the concrete, echoing too loud in this sacred place. This was supposed to be mine. I faced her fully. No, it never was. She stepped closer, her eyes wild, a cornered animal fighting the truth. You think you'll fix everything with a dusty lab and your sad little science fair dreams? I didn't flinch. No, but I'll build something they can't twist or buy or bury. Jennifer's lip curled. We'll see how long you last on your own. She stormed out, her silhouette dissolving in the morning sun. Grandma slipped her arm through mine. Let her go, she whispered. This place isn't for her. It's for you, and everyone like you who was told to be smaller. I looked around the lab, the rusted shelves, the broken beaker, the light spilling across forgotten plans. It wasn't perfect, but for the first time, it was mine, and I knew exactly where to begin. Nancy started a youth science program to help overlooked kids like herself, creating a supportive space for curiosity and growth. 3 years passed before I saw Jennifer again. By then, the annex had grown from one dusty lab into a living, breathing campus, kids' laughter echoing through greenhouse halls, soil under my nails instead of shame on my shoulders. I was cataloging newbie samples when I heard the creak of the old barn door. I turned, and there she was. Jennifer, no diamonds, no mask, just tired eyes that couldn't quite meet mine. "This place, it's real," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "You thought I'd fail," I replied evenly. She flinched. "I hoped you would, I won't lie." For a heartbeat, the silence between us felt heavier than all Grandpa's old books combined. She pulled a crumpled folder from her bag. "I wrote something," she muttered. "A guide for the shy kids, how to stand up there and not choke, how to speak when you're shaking inside." I took it, my thumb grazing the shaky handwriting, not perfect, but honest. I nodded. "You want to help?" Jennifer's eyes glistened. "I want to do something that isn't just taking." I didn't say I forgave her. I didn't have to. Some things grow slowly, like seeds in stubborn dirt. Instead, I stepped aside, letting her watch the kids working, curious, bright, unafraid to ask, why, the way I once did. As she left, she turned back, her voice cracking like old floorboards. "You were never nothing, Nancy, I see that now." When the door shut behind her, I looked out over the fields, rows of green stitched into red clay. Grandpa once said, "Legacy isn't a monument, it's a map." I smiled at the children's notebooks spread across the lab tables, pages filled with questions the world hadn't answered yet. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was fighting to be seen. I was building a place where no one had to be invisible again. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.